guys, welcome back to another episode of 12 Inch Freaking Fanatic. Remember to subscribe. So today we're going to be opening up the EXO-6 Star Trek The Next Generation Jean-Luc Picard. This is the essential version duty uniform. There were three different versions of this figure. The most expensive or deluxe version came with his jacket with the gray shirt underneath. I never liked that look, so I wasn't going to do that. I like the standard look. So I got this figure. Let's crack this open, see what we got, and we're also going to compare it to another figure of Picard that I got a while back. Stay tuned. All right. I always get so excited when a new EXO figure comes because they do such an awesome job. They really have high quality production value, and I've never been disappointed in one of their figures. I also have the T'Pol on pre-order as well, which is overdue, but it should be any time now, and we'll do a video on that as well. So pretty standard on the box. They always do this kind of the same thing. You got a picture close-up of the portrait, and on the back you have the figure full length and all the accessories that are included. All right, so it's been kind of interesting the way that they have released these figures. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to which character or even which show they focus on first, because you would figure they'd go for the captains for each of the series and then kind of work their way down. But they've just kind of been jumping all over the place, sometimes even pumping out random figures that played very small roles in the show. I don't know what goes into it. They're not really taking a vote, it seems. They're just kind of internally deciding how they're going to do that. And as long as they get all of them eventually. I told them I'm still waiting on Worf. Okay. So right off the bat, the head sculpt is perfectly fine. Let's adjust the camera a little bit. So the head sculpt is good, but the eyes seem a little beady. Yeah, there's really no other way to look at it. I think that's a subjective interpretation, but I think you might agree that the eyes are a little too beady. But otherwise, if I look at it on the side, it's perfect. Even profile, a little bit good, but straight on, you can see those beady eyes. The hair is nicely done, good blending in the gray, and his nice bald head here. You have the rank on the lapel here, and it feels like it's metal. And the badging feels like it's plastic. But the stitching and the choice of materials, top notch as usual. Oh, it's interesting. It's got a snap closure back here, like the real deal. So aside from the button, but it looks like it's broke. Yeah, no wonder it was just dangling there. So I either have to leave it like that or I got to glue this over here because this snap broke. Not good. All right, so the boots are typical to what he wore on the show, although I'll say that they're a little bit oddly shaped. It feels like they should like curve out a little bit. Instead, they just kind of go straight down. We got the pant that secures underneath here. Good fit on the uniform, and yeah, it is two pieces, not a single piece. The color match on the maroon is perfect as well. In the past, when makers have tried to do Star Trek figures, I'd say between the blue and the maroon, or even sometimes the yellow, they really make, they mess up the color scheme. They don't get it on point. But this one really does the job. And there's enough detailing in the hand. They don't do as much layering as I've seen in the past with real good figures. But the sculpt itself is fantastic. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. So typical with these Star Trek figures, you got a phaser, you've got the holster, which is secured magnetically. Put that in there. It's got a snug fit to it, and then that secures right like that. You could adjust the angle however you please. It's typically like that. And it is the later version. There was a few different versions of the phaser. This one was later in the series, matching the uniform, of course. And as is typical with the tricorders, they're magnetic as well. You have the option of having it closed like this, which is magnetically closed, and then magnetically open like this. And there's good enough detail on the tricorder itself. It's just a series of stickers in various recessed areas, and then you've got the top here that is painted, and nothing going on in the back. And then this tricorder goes in there, and then once again it is magnetic, and the magnetic feature is appropriate enough. It maybe could be slightly stronger, but it does the job. Doesn't fall off easily. And then standard with all of these Star Trek figures as well is the base that has the option of either having the transporter pad as such, or you can change it out for this as well. And then, where is it on this one? There we go. Another standard feature is the nameplate. So, as I explained in previous videos, at first, when I started reviewing the EXO-6 figures, I was complaining, why is the name so small? And then you just have this big space here. Well, somebody had commented, and it made perfect sense once they told me, is if you want to take this to a convention and have it signed, even though Patrick Stewart doesn't really do too many conventions these days, but if you wanted to have him sign in his white, hopefully whiter or silver pen and not black, because that wouldn't look good. But it keeps you from having to bring in the whole figure and maybe sign the boot or sign the back. Instead, you have them sign this card, and then you display the card in front of the base like this. There's two clips that are in the box, and then they help you secure the card to the front, right? So even so, I mean, you might not want to have something this big blocking the lower quarter of the figure, but that's an option for you. You could also, of course, lie it down in front of the figure on whatever shelf or display case you have it in. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to set this up and give you my final thoughts. All right, so here is the EXO-6 figure next to the QMX figure that came out a few years back. You could tell a huge difference in a variety of areas. The quality of the head sculpt, the quality of the clothing, the cut of the clothing, the quality of the figure itself, the body, I mean, everything all the way down. So first of all, the stitching on the crotch is a little too prominent on the QMX version, and the pants are not fitting properly. They're just a little too baggy. The shoes are a little too cartoonish. Good in the stitching on the around the edge there, but that's about it. They did the similar thing on the back here with the snap, so that's about right. But the stitching is a little too prominent compared to this one, where it's a little bit more subdued. Also, the fit of the top is a little too loose on this figure. And as you can see underneath here, they didn't even bother with anything underneath. It's just the bare body. At least they put a shirt on underneath the other figure. And it doesn't come down quite low enough. It's a little too short, which brings this entire torso up a little too high. The head sculpt, you can tell the difference, right? So the nose on the QXM here is a little bit more rounded, and I'd say that the new one is a little bit more screen accurate. So the head sculpt is just a little off on this one, but obviously, like we mentioned before, the eyes on this one, let's get a close-up of that again. The eyes on this one are just a little too beady. Other than that, the accessories are also different the way they went about it. So with the QMX, you had to secure the pouches for the phaser and the tricorder with a sticker. And over time, there's no tackiness to this anymore. So that doesn't work out too well. Also, they didn't do one single tricorder where you can open or close it. They did just two different sculpts. And not only that, but the quality on the details inside the tricorder are almost non-existent. Phasers, pretty much, I wouldn't say identical, but similar. I mean, there's not much you can do wrong on the phaser. This one's slightly more narrow, so you could tell they resculpted it. Also, there's green on the inside where the readout would be. There's nothing there, so they paid attention to. You can definitely tell the difference in the back here. And I'd have to say that this part here is more accurate on this one than it is on the new one. I don't know what reference they were looking at. But other than that, definitely, I mean, if you were to have, like myself, have the old one and you wanted to get the newer one from EXO-6, I'd say it's definitely worth the upgrade. So I'll probably be unloading the old one on eBay. But anyway, on this figure, scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to say that I'm a little disappointed in EXO for the first time. It's hard to ignore the beadiness of the eyes, and it's something that I can't really fix on my own. I don't have the skill set for it. That to me, that's one of the hardest things in putting together a figure and painting a head sculpt is the eyes. You have to get it completely symmetrical, but as we find out here, you also have to have it proportional, and they just don't manage to do that on this head sculpt. So I'm going to take off a few points and give this figure a 8.8. The head sculpt is the most important thing, so that's what I take a lot of points off for. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and see you next time.